Okay, so we're back here on this YZ250 two-stroke. A lot of people want to know, is a YZ250 two-stroke a good bike to trail ride? And so what we've done, we have this project bike we did with Racer X as a motocross bike. I'll have the link for that story in there, in the description. So you can have a link to this story when it was a motocross bike. So the guy that ended up with this bike, a good friend of ours, so he wanted to do a little bit more trail than track. He's going to do some track, but more trail riding. And so we went ahead and did some key mods to make it more trail savvy. And I'm going to talk about those mods right now. So we did a few mods of we're taking this bike up to Kindy Meadows. In California here, we're going to be riding about 7,000 to 10,000 feet in that range, somewhere in there. So we got their jetting kit because the jetting we had was good for sea level up to 1,500 feet, all very good. JD jetting, we could probably jet it out ourselves, but with the JD jetting kit, the advantage is that we can follow their chart, and it's usually like 99% good. So we followed their chart, went with the red needle, second clip, their main jet, which is a 162 and a 45 pilot. Did all that like they said for the elevation. Of course, we're going to have to switch it back when we come back home. So we got the jetting switch. When we did that, we put a large tank. These Yamahas like to gobble up fuel. So we wanted to have this thing, plenty of fuel for this thing for the long trail rides and our trail ride situation. Next thing, handguards are a must, especially if a guy's kind of a beginner trail rider. He's going to fall down a bunch. He's going to be braking, bending levers, throttle tubes. With the wraparound handguards, you don't have that problem. So we got our IMS tank, wraparound handguards, jetting. The next big mod was the 18-inch rear wheel. We had a 19 on for the chute. We have another Tusk 18-inch rear wheel. We put that with a used gummy tire from Dunlop. Might not look like much, but it grabs in the rocks, so still plenty good. Another big thing is the kickstand. Fastway makes some awesome kickstands, kickstands, and this thing bolts right up and pretty rad. We weren't able to run our frame guard we had, but we got our kickstand on here, so we've added that. We also added an old P3 pipe guard that we had off of a KTM that fit close enough-ish to work, so we can keep our pipe protected. So those are the key mods. So we're going to go ride this thing. We're going to report back to you in a little bit after we ride this thing, have a little footage of us riding it and talking about what we think of this thing on the trail. So hopefully you'll enjoy. Hey Jay here, we're back on this YZ250 kind of off-road experiment we've been doing. The only thing I didn't mention that we added on before we went for this trip with the two-stroke, this YZ, is we added a spark arrestor. We needed to be spark arrestor legal for this build. So we went ahead and added the FMF Turbine Core 2. We added that spark arrestor in there. With that JD jetting, the thing ran pretty good. We did have to go out of ways on the air screw, and we're like at 7,000 to 9,000 feet range, I think, somewhere in there. All in there, and it ran really well. So, is a YZ250 a good trail bike? And the answer is yes. It is a good trail bike, especially if you're on a budget. You know, if you can afford a brand new 2017, 18, 19 KTM 250, 300 two-stroke, is that a better trail bike? Yes. But if you can't afford to do that, this is a great option to fix up. This 02's fine, aluminum frame bikes, 06, 07, 08, fix up one of those, big tank on, doesn't have electric start of course, but it has really good suspension. They come with good suspension, these bikes. So that's always nice, but you have to kickstart it, and you need to jet it at the different locations. This thing did use a decent amount of fuel, but not terrible. As you can see, this is our big ride, over 50-mile ride today. So really good bike. Again, I don't want to say this thing's better than a brand new bike as far as on the trail, but you could fix up one of these and not do everything we did, but you could fix one up and maybe be in the, if you bought the bike cheap, you could be in the 3 to 4 4,500 range, and a brand new bike is 10, 11, 11.5 out the door for a 2020 bike. So anyway, we had a fun time on it, and I think a really good bike, and it was really fun for we have a kind of a beginner guy riding this, Drew. He did really good on the bike. You have to ride it a little bit more on the pipe than you would, say, a KTM XC that's kind of meant to be more of a trail bike. This might be a little bit better for a guy that's going to do a little bit more moto and trail. We'll call it dual sporting, because it's really good on the track, and you could ride this bike on the track the way it is, and it's great. And maybe a little bit better in maybe the open stuff than, say, an older KTM. So YZ250s are great bikes. We've talked about how much we like them as motocross bikes, and everybody really likes these things. And they, hold up really well, easy to work on, relatively inexpensive to repair compared to a four-stroke. Obviously, if you mess up a cylinder, power valve, that stuff, it can get expensive rebuilding stuff, but nothing like rebuilding an entire four-stroke. So great time on this build. We'll check you out in the track or trail soon. See ya.